Good morning everyone and welcome to this week's pet pairing, which is also going to be my very last video on YouTube. It's been a good ride. Just kidding. It's April Fool's and I just had to do something a little bit crazy because, you know, the world's gone crazy. It's the 1st of April. There is a thick layer of snow outside in the Netherlands. In the 16 years and a half that I've been in this country, there's never been snow in April. And also, you know, the world's gone insane. Apparently you can just go out on the stage of the Oscars and smack people now. And that's allowed. And then win an Oscar 45 minutes later and give a teary speech with a standing ovation afterwards. I'm going to do my base makeup as I usually do, and in the meantime we're just going to chat about a couple of things. Since I mentioned the Oscars, maybe I can start with that. I didn't really know what happened. Like, I'm always excited about the Oscars because there's always something in particular that I am rooting for. This year I was rooting for two things. The first one was for Lin-Manuel Miranda to win an Oscar, which unfortunately he didn't, but I'm sure someday he will. And I was also rooting for Ariana DeBose from West Side Story to win an Oscar for playing Anita, which she did, which I'm really happy about. So I don't really stay up late to watch the Oscars because it's literally in the fucking middle of the night here. Usually I just watch it the day after to enjoy the ceremony itself. I've already read up on all the winners. I just basically enjoy the ceremony itself. But this year I woke up to the news that apparently Will Smith smacked Chris Rock on stage for making a joke about his wife's bald head. And of course, because it was already on the news, they immediately mentioned that it's a little bit, you know, of a bad joke, a little bit under the belt, because she suffers from alopecia, which is a condition where you lose your hair. But I would not have known for the life of me that she suffers from this condition, and I would have just thought, okay, you know, he made a joke about a stylistic choice that she made. Is that really such a big deal? And my first response was, okay, that, you know, that was a little bit of a bad joke, and I didn't really... I didn't see the actual act of Will Smith coming out on stage and smacking Chris Rock. But then I watched it and I thought a little bit about it, and I read a bit of things of what other people thought about it. And I reached the conclusion that while Chris's joke was maybe a little bit bad taste and a bit, you know, could be considered offensive, you know, stand-up comedians make really bad jokes sometimes. Just look at all the Golden Globes with Ricky Gervais. Sometimes he makes jokes that could be considered outright offensive. And the joke, while it was, you know, like I said, a bit under the belt, first of all, maybe he didn't know about her condition, or maybe he did, and from what I can understand, she's been extremely open and vocal about it. She has really had a very strong attitude about it. So it seems like she would be someone who can, you know, it's maybe a terrible thing to say, but she could take the joke. And I feel like also in the 21st century, like with Gen Z, I'm sorry if you're Gen Z, I feel like most of you probably are not Gen Z. I feel like Gen Z gets offended about literally everything you say. You cannot say anything anymore because they get butthurt about everything. And I feel like sometimes we need to have a little bit of, you know, the ability to laugh at ourselves and not take ourselves too seriously. And the weird thing about it is, when as I was watching it, the first reaction from Will was to actually laugh at the joke, while you could see Jada going rolling her eyes. And then what happened in the 3 seconds in between him laughing, her rolling her eyes, and, you know, him going on stage and punching Chris Rock is I don't know, maybe he saw her face and he was like, oh fuck, I should not be laughing, I should do something about it. I don't know. But then I watched the actual footage of Will Smith going out on stage and punching Chris Rock, and I was like, okay, that was just really fucking mean. I also found it really strange that he was just allowed to stay at the ceremony, win an Oscar after that, give a speech that I couldn't get through because it was and then get a standing ovation for it. I don't know, that just fucking blows my mind, because basically it tells the regular Joe out there that if someone makes a joke or if someone tells them something they don't like to hear, they can just go and punch them. Basically, you're totally allowed to be violent if you disagree with someone's opinion. So in that context, I could just go out and shoot all the anti-vaxxers because I really disagree with them. By the way, for a short interruption of our regular scheduled programming, I actually picked up something new. I made a completely impulsive purchase 2 weeks ago on Cult Beauty. This specific product I'm going to blame on Alice from Alice's Beauty Madness, one of my besties here on YouTube. She said that she really enjoyed this powder, and for whatever reason I decided that I really need to own this powder as well. I bought it with a 15% off code because Cult Beauty has codes floating around pretty much all the time. I bought mine in the shade 01, and this is Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Finishing Powder. It comes in her limited edition Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year packaging, but you can also find it in her regular lineup. And in all honesty, this has been a product that I have wanted to buy for at least like 6 or 7 years. And also, incidentally, my very first Charlotte Tilbury purchase ever. What can I say? I'm still testing the powder. It's a nice powder, very lightweight, very blurring. Is it better than my Hourglass powder? That I don't know, but it does a really good job at blurring my pores. And I'm still testing out how it holds up during the day. So I will come back and give you more full-rounded opinion, I think, during one of our, monthly roundups. But so far I've been enjoying it. Did I need another powder? Absolutely not. For bronzer today I'm going to take my cream bronzer from Chanel, the Soleil Teint de Chanel. And just to quickly finish off my thoughts on the situation with, the Oscars. I watched a small segment of Will Smith's speech because, like I said, I could not sit through the whole thing. It was just so nauseating. These people are so fucking out of touch with reality, okay? They're so out of touch with reality. I feel like Will Smith has been in too many movies where he's saved the world single-handedly. I feel like he has developed a little bit of a god complex, and at one point during his speech he said that something in the lines of he was a tool of love or an instrument of love or something, I don't know. And I was like, there's one thing you're not wrong about, you really are a tool. I think a lot of people who thought of Will Smith as the nicest guy and, the guy next door, no longer have this opinion of him. I'm not sure how this is going to impact his career, but if I were a director or a producer or a casting director or whatever, I would be worried about the safety of the rest of the cast from now on. Moving on to a completely different topic, my Bridgerton purchase finally shipped yesterday, so about 7 working days after I made the purchase, and it is coming via DHL Express, so it will be here already in the beginning of next week. So I'm really happy about that. I will probably film at the very earliest on Tuesday, but that will really depend on how tired I am after work, because if I do it on Tuesday, it will have to be after work. In the meantime, I have been looking out for reviews of the new collection, but as usual, I think the shipping was delayed for pretty much everyone. And finally, Alicia from Kinky Sweat posted a video yesterday, and it was very surprising to me. Again, I'm going to make a little interruption, I'm so sorry. The main reason that I went back on the Cult Beauty website is because ever since I saw this blush, I could not stop thinking about it. As you will remember, last month I purchased 2 of the new Suikyu melting powder blushes, and earlier when I was on that website I was also checking out the Pure Color blushes, which are the original blush releases from Suikyu, and those are like the more gradient blushes. And maybe I can just show you because that's the one I couldn't stop thinking about. It is the shade 08. I don't know that it has a name. If it has a name, it's in Japanese. Anyway, the packaging actually on this is slightly different. The other one is magnetic, and this one actually has a little like button closure to it. These are also cheaper. They're about 5 to 10 euros cheaper, I want to say, than the melting blush powder formula. And this is the one that I really wanted to purchase because it looked like the most beautiful, like playful orange coral blush with a beautiful gradient on it. I have a bit of controversial thoughts about this, okay? I don't know that I like it. I think I'm actually quite disappointed with it. And the reason for that is, I don't know whether you're going to be able to see. Probably not, because I don't have an artificial light here to shine, because apparently I left my phone somewhere downstairs. But the lightest shade in particular has chunks of glitter in it. Like, you remember those like large visible chunks of glitter? That's what's going on in this blush. And the first time I applied it, I was so shocked and so disappointed, and I am still getting over that disappointment. Overall, it's a really lovely blush. It's a beautiful, more coral leaning color than it really is orange. I expected it to be like a coral going into a tangerine, but it's really just a coral. So overall, I'm actually pretty disappointed with this purchase, and I can say that I think this blush is something outstanding and something you need to go out of your way to get. Unlike the melting powder formula, which I think is unique, beautiful, and just gorgeous, these are more of a traditional powder formula. Yes, they're a very elegant, very lightweight, beautiful powder formula, but I cannot forgive the glitter, and I just don't think it's that special, if I'm being honest. I prefer my powder blushes from Pat McGrath far more. For highlighter, I'm going to take this one over here. This is the shade Whisper of Guilt from MAC. But to go back to the video that I watched from Alicia. So first of all, I was very surprised to find out that Alicia didn't actually order the collection and she was completely planning on skipping it. And I was already quite shocked when she never released a video on that multi-chrome kit that came out earlier this year with the shade VR Sextro Galactic. She never posted a video on it. So in the end, I was like, I think she skipped this, you know, release altogether, which was already very shocking to me because she rarely, if ever, has skipped a Pat McGrath release. And in this video she flat out said she was not planning on purchasing the collection, and she was very surprised when it came to her in the form of PR. She occasionally gets PR from Pat McGrath Labs, but she doesn't really ever know if she's going to get anything in PR and what exactly. Spritzing my brush with Fix Plus, by the way. And I don't want to go into too much detail about what was said in the video. You know, she did a lot of comparison swatches, which I'm going to do as well. She basically confirmed everyone's growing suspicion that the chartreuse shade in that palette is basically a dupe for Gigabyte from the Subversive palette. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm actually really happy about that. I know it sounds really crazy, but Gigabyte has been one of those shades that I have like intentionally stopped myself from using very often because I was afraid of hitting pan on it, and Subversive has been a palette that's been going out of stock very often in the past years, so I'm always like, ooh, maybe she's going to stop making it because one of the ingredients is very hard to find or something, I don't know. So personally, I do not mind having a backup of Gigabyte. That said, do I morally approve of the deception of calling the shade a different name while it's the same shade? I do not. Now, speaking of Pat McGrath Labs and eyeshadows, and Gigabyte in particular, let me grab my Mothership 3 Subversive palette so that I can tell you how we're going to start off this look. And how this whole thing with this look started off is, I have always wanted for Pat McGrath to make a multi-chrome that shifts from like a limeish green to like a fiery peachy red shade, but she never really came out with a multi-chrome that is quite in the ballpark of what I wanted. So I thought to myself, what if I just try to layer shit and see what happens? And on Wednesday I didn't really have time to film. I haven't really had much time to film this past week, but today I thought I really would like to share this look with you because a lot of you were very excited to see it when I posted a photo of it on Instagram. So what we're going to do today actually is start off with Statuesque. I'm going to put Statuesque through my crease. It's just that I don't want to go in with something too dark in my crease. And then I'm going to apply a little bit of this dark brown shade in my usual winged out smoke shade in the outer corner. And then I'm going to apply the shade Gigabyte all over my lid, and then I will show you the layering. And in the meantime, we can continue chatting a little bit about Alicia's video. It was very interesting to me. I think this is the very first time that I see Alicia so, I don't want to say disappointed, she sounded annoyed. You know how Alicia is a very, very nice person, a much nicer person compared to me. Like, she's so much more like tactful, and she's so much kinder in the way she uses her words and everything. And her video of this collection and her reaction to this collection reminded me a little bit of my reaction to the Celestial Divinity quads, those stupid quads from Holiday 2021, which were such a complete fail and disappointment to me, only I was a lot less nice about it in my video. Her reaction reminded me of my reaction, but she was just much nicer about it. You could like sense the disappointment through the screen, because basically she has reached a point where she herself even says, Pat, enough is enough, stop repeating yourself and stop, you know, selling us shit we already have. So that was very interesting to see, and I don't know what my reaction will be, because I still think that there are some shades in that palette that I am very interested in, besides the Gigabyte-esque shade, such as that very sparkly pink shade. But we shall see. Like I said, I don't want to get ahead of myself. The collection is on the way. We're going to do a video on it, and you will see my authentic reaction when the collection gets here. And in the meantime, in preparation for receiving the collection, I have been binge watching season 2 of Bridgerton. And what can I say? I've been enjoying it actually. I don't mind season 2. Well, I didn't really mind season 1 either. I think I would have been crazy about the Bridgerton books and the Bridgerton series when I was a teenager, because I used to read a lot of romance when I was a teenager. Not so much anymore these days, but still, teenage me would have absolutely loved Bridgerton. And I have to say, I think I'm enjoying season 2 just a little bit more than season 1. And I think the reason for that is, so I'm the kind of person that not only with like romance movies but also with horror movies, I'm much more likely to be at the edge of my seat with things I can't see and with things that are, suggested, or I like it when things are not completely explicit. And with Bridgerton season 1, there was of course this build-up, but at one point, the two main characters got together and, there was a lot of canoodling on screen. But as season 2 has much more of that, like, build-up and that chemistry between the protagonists and a lot of, unsaid things, a lot of, like, secret arm, like, hand grazing and sighs and, like, sniffing someone, and that works for me a lot more than the explicit stuff. Okay. So the actors who play the protagonists are doing a great job at building up that chemistry. They have beautiful chemistry on screen. So I've actually been enjoying season 2, I think, a lot more than season 1. But of course you need to be into, that kind of like romance things. And I guess I was maybe in the mood for something a bit less serious and dramatic after attempting to watch a bunch of shit that was really dramatic. Oh, something that I actually forgot to share with you, because it kind of like escaped my mind, but now that we're talking about Bridgerton 2, I remembered it. I'm taking glitter glue, by the way, and going to apply Gigabyte over top of that. But when I saw the promo images for Bridgerton 2, I was like, wait, is that the girl from Sex Education? Which reminded me that I completely forgot to tell you that I really enjoyed Sex Education. So the main female protagonist, Simone Ashley, she also stars in Sex Education, and I thought Sex Education was absolutely hysterical. So I would highly recommend watching it. I binged all the 3 seasons recently. We were joined by a naughty Mona. Mona and her sister were being very naughty during the night. They were chasing each other. Lisa had a mouse, we had to shoo her away. She was growling. It was very dramatic. I'm going to layer now Gigabyte all over my lids. Oh, I love this shade so much. So much. So anyway, have you guys started to get shipping confirmations for your Bridgerton orders? Have you watched season 2? I have not finished watching season 2, by the way. I finished episode 6 yesterday, and I still have 2 more episodes to go. Now, for this next part of the look, I'm going to go into the Huetopian Dream palette. And I've talked a little bit about how the multi-chrome in that palette, the shade VR Extreme, comes close to what I wanted my perfect multi-chrome from Pat McGrath to be, but not quite. So we're talking about this shade here. This shade has all the potential to be my favorite type of multichrome, and yet it doesn't quite live up to the potential, because for whatever reason that like burgundy reddish base sort of melts with my skin, and when I put it as a one and done shade on my lid, it almost looks like I have bald spots on my lids sometimes. It's very bizarre. But I thought, what if I give the strong chartreuse base that I want this shade to have, and then get a bit of that like peachy pink flash when I layer Extreme over top of Gigabyte. And I basically made the perfect multichrome by layering the 2 shades. There you have it, that was the secret. And I'm going to basically layer it over top of Gigabyte. And I'm sure the camera will not do justice to how gorgeous this look will turn out, and especially how sparkly it will be if you stand in the light. Oh sorry, I forgot to zoom you in again. Now for my inner corner, I'm just going to go back into the Subversive palette and take this champagne inner corner shade, because I feel like it fits the vibes of this look a little bit better than the champagne that's to be found in Huetopian Dream, which is a bit more pink leaning. And I might actually layer a bit of this shade also on my brow bone. For my lower lash line, I'm going to take a little bit of Intensifies and I'm going to just apply a little bit of that here for two reasons. First of all, because it really helps the eyeshadows that I put in my outer corner to not smudge as much throughout the day. And second of all, because I want to put Gigabyte on my lower lash line and I would like it to have something to stick to. So I'm going to go back into the deep brown shade from the Subversive palette and just apply that here in the very outer corner of the eye. And now I'm going to take the little smudger brush and go back into Gigabyte and layer that basically over top and over the rest of my lower lash line. I cannot get over the fact that you cannot appreciate the full beauty of this look, so we are doing the artificial light. Okay, I think we have it. So this is pretty much the final look. I paired it with one of my favorite lipsticks from Urban Decay. It is the shade Epigram, which was part of their limited edition Basquiat collection. Sadly, one of the few shades in their Vice lipstick line that has not returned from a limited collection into their regular lineup. But if you were to recreate this look and you wanted a similar vibe as your lipstick, I would say just go for something like Velvet Affair from Lisa Eldridge. I hope you enjoyed this video and the look that we created and all of the thoughts that I had on a variety of subjects. Please don't forget to share all of your thoughts. I can't wait to chat with you in the comments below. As usual, thank you so much for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye!